Today we're going to be looking at 5 ways of improving your grip strength for martial arts using a combination of traditional and modern training methods. Let's get after it. Exercise number 1, we have the oldest of the old school, the original strengthening apparatus from traditional Okinawan karate, the Nigiri Game. Heavy earthenware jars filled with sand, stones or water or concrete, held by the fingertips, and then you walk up and down the gym in various stances in order to strengthen not only the hips and the legs for our stances, but also our ability to grip with the fingertips. So when we're grabbing, we hook the thumb this way, we don't grab with the thumb tip. We're hooking that behind the lip like so, and then our fingers splay. Now we're not grabbing like this. We have various differences in the way we grip things. What the Nigiri Game do is they train this ability to grab using the radius of the hand, so spreading that direction and pulling back to a central point, as opposed to tools such as barbell deadlifts, pull-ups, etc., where we are gripping in a more linear fashion. So grabbing with the right hand formation, we pick up. From there we rotate, so the middle finger is pointing forward the way we go. We make our Sanchin stance, and then from there locking in the lats, locking in the core, keeping our spine nice and straight, our chin tucked in. We slowly walk using our crescent step up and down the gym floor, pausing momentarily each step to grip the floor, lock in the position and grip. What I would do in the old days was each day add another little pinch of sand. So accumulatively, as time goes by, these jars get heavier and heavier and heavier. Now rumor has it, the founder of Goju Miyagi Chojin, who was particularly famous for his grip strength, his jars apparently weighed 95 pounds each. Now when we're training with this method, this is more an overcoming isometric, so we are pinching against an immovable object. We want to make it a little bit more dynamic. We would have slightly lighter game, so not quite so heavy, not quite so much sand in them, and what you would do in such a case would be to swing them like so. So now you have the dynamic element added to it, whereby the centrifugal force is now trying to pull that away from your grip. There's another way of enhancing the basic exercises. Also with lighter ones, we can raise, we can extend, so that we are getting some flexion through the forearms and just training the tendons and the muscles in slightly different ways to add to the basic exercise of just walking with that isometric hold, much like a farmer's walk. Exercise number 2 from the old school, we have the Maki Age Gu. So very simply, these can be seen in very strongman gyms or conventional training gyms where they have the wrist roll. I've even seen them on Amazon now selling for an extortionate amount of money. Now in the old school, these were made of bamboo or a piece of wood, and ideally you want that about the same width as a wrist, so that we are gripping something a little bit more chunky. A lot of the ones you can buy online, they're too thin. They're made of just a piece of metal, which are too thin. We want to replicate the feeling of grabbing a wrist or grabbing a throat. So the thicker the better, in order to train the tendons in a slightly different way from what you'd get from conventional weight training that we'll come onto in a bit. So with the Maki Age Gu, we have not very heavy, just a little weight attached to the end. Originally this would have been a rock attached by rope to our piece of wood, and then from there various ways of doing it. My preferred method, stand in a parallel stance, my hands slightly higher than shoulder height, and then from there I'll keep my elbows, I'll keep my shoulders dead still in order to unwrap that all the way down to the ground. Now I don't want to just let it slide like so, right? I need to be using my fingers. And what this is training is the ability to grip and re-grip. So it's not as static as you would find on the Nigiri Game or the Nigiri Game we just had. There is a re-gripping process, and sometimes when you see people do Sanchin, you will see this gripping and re-gripping. There's a reason for that. Now, as we come back up again, my hands are slightly higher than the shoulder. I'll keep my elbows as still as I can. Not only still as I can, I don't want my elbows flaring like this. I want to keep my elbows rotated into the pocket so that the movement is coming just from my forearms. And when I'm gripping, I want to be grabbing with my fingertips themselves, not with the flats of the hand. It's another common mistake you'll see, is gripping with the flats of the fingers. I want to use the fingertips again, so that we are training the grip in slightly different ways on slightly different pieces of equipment. It's not all doing the same job. Whereas the Sanchin Game was like here, and we are squeezing this way, maybe using a little bit more this bit. Now we are training the ability to do what they call the da, the digging, the piercing with the fingertips. We want to be in there. But priority, things we need to be aware of: not letting the shoulders do the work, not letting the elbows do the work. So I don't want to see any of this jelly stuff coming from the shoulders or the elbows. It needs to be just here, locked out. Now another way you can do it is by adopting your Sanchin position, and then from there doing so like this, all the way down and all the way up again. Again, I want to concentrate on using the fingertips rather than the flats. But in my opinion, you know, standing upright, hands slightly higher than shoulders width, slightly higher than shoulder height, that will prevent you in itself from too much body language interfering it. Remember, we want to be focusing on the backside of the arms here. Something to consider when we do martial arts: a lot of it we are clenching the fist, a lot of it we are grabbing people, we are pulling people in. There is a large emphasis on the development of the inside of the forearms here, and as a result, the outside of the forearms sometimes can lack a little bit of development and they become weak. So in order to, you know, create balance through the forearm, create balance through the hand strength, the different positions we find ourselves in, we need to be focusing a little bit more on the outside of the forearms, adding armor to this, which ultimately is building the bridges needed for strong blocks, strong frames, and strong guard positions in our martial arts. When it comes to building sheer power and endurance in our grip, you can't beat farmer's walks, deadlifts, or any heavy effort we would find on a barbell where we're having to move significant weight holding through our hands. Again, slightly different grip formation, more relevant to linear style gripping rather than radial style gripping that we found in the previous two exercises. This one, load it up. We want to be able to go heavy. We want to be able to carry a minimum of 50% of our body weight in each hand, and doing it for a slightly longer duration. We might do 1 minute, 2 minutes, even 5 minutes sometimes, right? Reducing the weight accordingly as the time duration increases, right? So when we're doing our farmer's walks, I want to be focusing on posture. I don't want to let my shoulders collapse forward. I don't want to be hunchback. I need to pull my shoulders back. I need to punch that chest forward. And ideally, I would be looking to get these weights off of my legs so that I'm here with that big posture. My ribs are occupying space. I want to be spread in this position. In doing so, spreading my lats, engaging my traps, pulling my shoulders back, and working on this ability to expand as we go. And with this, we would be walking just up and down or creating a circuit wherever you want to work, either doing for a time duration or for a distance duration. And you can load this up heavy. The heavier we go, obviously the shorter distances we work on. The lighter you go, you can go for a lot longer. So one would build endurance if we are going for a longer duration, our ability to grip for long, tolerate with the lactic build up in the forearms and fingers. Or if we're going for sheer power, just the amount of force we can put through our grip, increase the load, decrease the duration or the distance, and go try to get stronger at that particular exercise. Next exercise is one I like to give the grapplers I work with. We take a couple of weight plates and grip it with the fingertips. We can either go for a static hold, so we might set a timer for a minute and just hold that position, or we can add a dynamic element to it whereby we swing, or we can go opposites, so that we're incorporating a little bit of core into it, a little bit of hip engagement, but also what we're getting is that centrifugal force coming through the grip. So we're gonna have to learn to grip tighter, re-engage that grip at points, and get used to how that grip interacts with us depending upon different dynamic motions. We can add walk into that, so as we're swinging, we're walking, or we're just carrying while we walk. Again, all different ways of engaging the core while simultaneously we're working on our grip strength. Now, grip engagement for this one, we're looking at pinching. Again, very relevant. Within certain techniques in the martial arts, we talk about grabbing where tendons attach to bone. So seizing into cavities. This is what this particular grip is 4, and you will find that at various points in your traditional martial arts kata, your forms or your submission holds in a more modern system, right? Here, squeeze, and then here we can also add things like squats to this movement, again adding a more dynamic quality to it to increase the difficulty as your ability improves. And exercise number 5, a very underrated and overlooked one in my opinion, gi pull-ups, especially if you are a jiu-jitsu-ka who is grabbing a lot of gi, judoka. This would be no surprise to you guys. So from here I hold in my gi, I get my pull-ups going, a little bit of rotation through my grip as I go. Pulling in. So I want to add that little bit of rotational element as I'm going. I'm not just pulling on one line. I want to get this going on. So the ability to grab, control the elbow, rotate through to pull in close. Very, very relevant to your sanchin, by the way. I want to start every one from a long hand and then rotate in as I go, come down fully straight. Rotate in as I go, come down fully straight. So we're not just bouncing the reps, we want to take that arm through its full range of motion to replicate and get strength at every single part of that position. So there we have it, 5 of my favorite exercises for developing your grip strength in martial arts. If you are looking for ways of improving your strength and conditioning for combat sports, be sure to check out Hybrid Athlete and my newest training program, Ronin Hybrid, by clicking the link below for a free 7-day trial. I'll see you on the inside.